Hi there, I'm demonstrating here a game of Dixie First Bull Run edition. We're going to be playing a classic game, so we have 30 cards in each deck, and that's from a one box set, so that's 60 cards from one box set. And because the Union is slightly underpowered, they start with a muster of 18 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, the Confederates start with 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now these are the reinforcement decks, so at the end of each turn each player will get to draw one, possibly another one or none, depending on special cards played from those decks. So this is your starting muster, and you will get a slow amount of reinforcements, but not many. There's no turn limit to the game, so potentially each side could sit there facing each other, doing nothing, maybe doing some artillery pot shots and drawing until they've drawn all the 30 cards into their hand. There's nothing to stop that, but likely as not, one of them is going to make a move first. So I'm going to start with setting up the Union. I am expecting the Confederates going to be more aggressive. It's going to depend a bit on what cards they have. So let's see, the Union have drawn some generals, cavalry, special card, more cavalry, some infantry, nice strong 4 infantry there. Another general, lots 3 specials, that's nice, and a good spread. So they've actually got a good spread of cards to start with. So we have our, and the battlefield is here. We have 3 positions and then the middle ground unoccupied at start. So we can put, and interestingly they have no terrain cards, so they can put 4 infantry, cavalry and or artillery in each position, and then if they like they can overstack a general, but then he has to be revealed. So we've got Sherman here. He's good on the attack. These other fellows are good on defense. So I think we're going to hold 2 generals in reserve in our hand. These 3 are going to go down. And we'll attack in the centre. Why not? No, attack on the flank. It's nearly always best to attack on the flank, because especially because we've got some cavalry, they can help on a possible flanking attack with an attack on the left or the right. So we'll give some strongest infantry here, smattering here. Okay, so we don't have to reveal that general. So there's 4 cards on the what would be the Union left, but I'm just going to call it the right because the way we're facing. I'll put them up there. They have some specials. They're holding the cavalry in reserve. Oh, and they've got 2 generals in reserve, and I forgot the artillery. That one's only one sort of section. That's sort of, you could say 3 sections, but it's not as powerful. So I think they're not fantastic on attack. I think we're going to hold them to give us solid defense lines here. Okay, so that is the Union setup. And you can see it's hidden to the opponent. So there's some terrain for the Confederates. Fair bit of infantry, 2 terrain, that's nice. And no artillery. So, what do we have? Do we have an aggressive general? Yes, we have Jubal early. Now, I forgot my dice. I'll just have to whiz and go and get them. I'm leaving you to look at these cards. Let's roll a dice. So we'll have the aggressive general attacking 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6 in those positions. So interesting. Both the aggressive generals are on the same side. Right. I think we're going to save him. We'll put him in this position, and then we have these. This gives the defender +1 combat value, and that gives the attacker -1 combat value. So I think we'll put that there against the attacker. Seems we're going to be moving out of that if we, as the Confederates will move out of that if they get the first turn. We won't give them terrain. That'll add in defense there. Now, terrain counts as a card, so we can only have 3 infantry or cavalry or artillery, but we don't have it either cavalry or artillery. So again, we'll give stronger fellows, I think, here. 1, 2, 3. Then the rest are 2s. Oh, there's a cavalry. 2 there. So we'll keep the cavalry in hand, general in reserve, and we've got a ford, which isn't any use because there's no creeks. If there was a creek, it would be very handy because it would restrict our opponent to only one unit one card coming across on attack, and then the Confederate could suddenly spring a ford and take 2 across to surprise the opponent. But that is not the case here. So I think we're going to hold, so in the hand we're going to hold an infantry in reserve, cavalry, a general, and then that forward card is just going to have to be a bluff. Now we're playing with the original rules, and in that you can hold terrain. Terrain has to be played at start, and it is revealed at start. And in the original rules, you can hold it in your hand just to bluff your enemy of what you have in your reserve. But in the later editions of the rules, you can actually play terrain down here, but it's just a dummy unit, and if it takes a hit, it's removed immediately. But it can soak up a hit, so it can be very useful. But we're playing with the rules we have in the box. So, which is, for me, that's version 2. I have the original rules and version 2, and I'm going to be using the version 2, the 2nd edition. I'm playing with the 2nd edition set. So that is the setup. And without further ado, we'll roll to see who goes first. 1 to 3, it's the Union. So it is the Union first. So they would start with fire. Well, we would start with morale checks, but there's none at the beginning. So we go to fire, and why not? They're going to start some desultory cannon fire, so they have to reveal their artillery, wise or not. But they're not too worried because they can see that the Confederates don't have so much opposing them, not so many cards here. So these are long range, they will hit on a 1. So that's CV of 1, so it's just 1 die. And that's a hit. I will choose that in a minute. And this one is 3. CV of 3, so that's 3 die. And that's no hit. So here, the Confederate player chooses who's going to get hit. And because they're the same, different units, but the same completely the same statistics. He's revealed once he's hit, and he takes the hit. Okay, so then we go to movement, and without further ado, they will move forward. This is the middle ground. They move across the middle ground and engage this position here. So as soon as they engage, they have to be revealed, and their opponents' folks are revealed too. Now, one thing I could have done, I didn't have a cavalry. I could have sent a cavalry unit across on a scout. I wish I'd done that now. I could have shown you, but never mind. So that's engaged, and then we go to the reinforcement, and that's the 4 phases of a turn. So the Union get a useless creek card, which is a stone bridge. They won't be able, if they'd had that at the beginning, that could have been handy. And now we go to the Confederate turn, and we start with the morale roll for this fellow. Because we don't have a general there. Oh, hang on. Because they're in the woods, the attacker is -1 CV. That artillery is 1 CV, so it wouldn't have done anything. So in fact, we won't reveal that. I've forgotten about that. It would just be completely ineffective. So he's fine. That we don't actually have to take that morale roll. So we move straight to attack. Now you notice, because these moved up, these get a defensive fire as they're moving up. You can't move and attack in the same turn. So there's going to be some blistering fire from these healthy lads. So F2, so they hit on a 5 or 6. Them being infantry, not in melee, and that's 10 dice. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll roll them off camera here so it doesn't make a mess. I've got 4 6s, so that's 4 hits, which is a disaster for the Confederates, for the Union, because I have to give one to the leader, and he's instantly killed or wounded out of the game. Now, in later games, you will roll to see the effect, and the leader may not be eliminated immediately. And thinking about it, what I should have done is sent these fellows in. Well, it depends. I could have sent the leader in later, but hopefully the leader would have been able to help the saving throws on these, but no, he's gone. He's out. So I'll put that over there, discarded from the game. Any more fire? We have no artillery here, so there's no other fire. So then we move to movement. They're not so strong. These were hoping to move up to there. They can't do that. What? So that cavalry could come in here to reinforce. This infantry could come in here to reinforce. This card is useless because it's only good against creeks, and I don't need a general here. So we're contemplating a move across. I think that's what I'm going to do. Is we're going to bring on. Now cavalry can make 2 moves. So from reserve, cavalry moves to here, and then he's going to do a scout over to here. What a scout means is that he goes up to there and he takes fire immediately. And only one cavalry can scout. And it takes fire from 1 enemy card. So it could be that artillery, or yes, the artillery is going to be the best bet because we get 3 dice at F2. So hitting on a 5 or 6. And there's 1 hit. So he takes a hit. And he has to roll for that morale immediately out of turn. So he's only going to save on a 1 or a 2. And he rolls a 4. So he's gone. Unlucky scouting effort. But it did, well, it didn't actually reveal anything for us, did it? If he survived, then all of those cards would have been revealed and the cavalry will immediately disengage back to here. And if that position was undefended, the cavalry could stay. If there was a general there, the cavalry would have eliminated the general. So that's the end of that cavalry unit. That's all the movement we're going to do this turn. Another way you can do a scout is just send in, 1 weak infantry unit if you wish. Okay, I'm going to put feeling a bit nervous. I'm going to put that the general down into here just to reinforce that. And then we go to reinforcements, and the CSA gets some artillery. Now it only can throw 1 die, but if it's being engaged, or it engages, it will hit on a 4, 5 or 6, so that's not too bad. And we go back over to the Confederates, so they have to make their saves. So the first guy's saving on a 1, 2, 3. Oops, so that's the first guy, that's the second guy, that's the third. So the second guy, the strongest, didn't make his save. He's out of the game, and the other 2 did. So we remove those hits. Then they can fire. If they fire, they won't be able to disengage. They have to stay there. But we're going for it as the Union player. And so they will fire. So we have 3, 4, 5 dice hitting on 5 or 6. And that's 2 hits. So 1 to there and 1 to there. Okay, so they have fired. Now we have movements. We had rallies, then fire. Now we go to movement. So here is where we get the possible flanking attempt. So these 2 can come out of reserve, and they come around here, and it has to be on an engaged flank, so the right or left position, and they will attempt to engage alongside those fellows there. You can bring a leader, which will, out of reserve, will follow with them. What they do is they make a morale roll. So we need to roll a 2 or less, or 1 or less, but with the leader, that adds 1. So this one will make it on a 3 or less. He made it. The other guy will make it on a 2 or less. No, he didn't make it. So the leader can stay there. This one isn't removed. He just goes back to reserve into your hand. So, and then in that move, they make an immediate out-of-turn attack. So but cavalry are only firepower of 1, and he rolled a 1. So that fellow rolled a 1, so that actually is a hit. So that has to go on the 3rd unit there. Everyone has to have 1 hit before any can have 2. And they will remain there, engaging that position, having joined these fellows in the attack. One option I could have done was go to melee. I didn't. We will do that. Maybe do that the next turn. Okay, so movement. That was some movement. And okay, nothing else particularly effective we can do. What I could do is say move that artillery up to reserve, then move it down here in the next turn, and that could fire into here. Even though we've got fellows there, they would be hit on if I rolled a 1 though, so it's a bit risky. So we're not going to do that. I forgot to roll fire from this fellow here, so I will just roll that now. So 3 hitting on a 6, 2 hits. Okay, so that's those two fellows taking a hit. Okay. And then reinforcement for the Union. No other moves. That's nice. So the Confederates, now we reveal our general here, and he can add to their saving throws. They also, because they're defending from a hill, they get +1 to their CV. So their CV goes up to 3, and then another 1 for the general. So they will each save on 4 or less. So one of them did, one didn't. So he's gone out of the game, and this guy saves. Okay, and now these three, their general's going to add 1. Now, if they're defending, so we use that number. If they were attacking, so they're in the enemy's, engaging the enemy's position, he would had 2. So actually, it would have been good if I'd swapped that general out with this one. That was silly. Okay. Anyway, so this will save on 5 or less. It does it. This one on 4 or less. It does it, and that one also on 4 or less. So with that other general, we would have saved that. Okay, so that's rallies. Now we can do fire. So these fellows can fire back, and they could opt to engage in melee. But I don't want to do that at the moment, so they're just going to stand and fire. So that's 7 dice, hitting on a 5 or 6. And I got 2 6s and a 5, so that's 3 hits. And the general is safe for the time being. And we still haven't got any artillery out, but now we can get some here. So I'm going to put the artillery in here to reinforce that with some artillery and another unit. And I'm going to draw that general in to... I'm going to send him back down to here, in fact. And then this general will come out into reserve, and then he gets his second move. So he will go to there to aid that defence. And that leaves one last card left in the Dixie hand, the Confederates. And we go to Rebel Yell. That would be good on an attack in melee. Now over to the Union. So their rallies. So saving on 4. Okay, saving on 3 and saving on 3. So the cavalry has gone, and attacks. So attack's not going so well there. I could reinforce it slowly, but they know this is weak. So what we're going to do is we're going to attack from here. So they're actually going to disengage. We're up against too big a number there. So they will disengage back to there. So, fires first. So fire from here. No, because they're going to engage with that. Okay, so they're disengaging to here. No fires. These ones move up, engaging to here. So these fellows are revealed. That general I'm going to keep there because there's no point in him. In fact, that general is going to go to reserve and then down into here. And this general disengages 1, a second move into reserve. Okay. And from reserve, I have a general here, so he moves 1 and then 2. So we got Burnside there, engaging Lookout Hill. And I'm going to send a cavalry charging in here as well to help soak up any hits. Okay, and those ones here, well, I'm going to withdraw the artillery into reserve, and then they can come here because we're expecting attack there. And then we get reinforcement, another artillery section. Good. Okay, so the Confederates, no rallies to make. Fires, so they can fire here. There's only one fellow. He gets +1 CV, so he will be rolling 3 dice, hitting on a 5 or 6. That's 1 hit. And we're going to put that onto that lone infantry fellow there. Could possibly put it on the cavalry because they're fine in melee, the same as the infantry, but they can move more, and I think they're going to move into melee as soon as they can. Okay, so they've fired. We could have a fire from the gun here, but I think they're going to move up to engage, and nothing going on there. I think they're going to have to stay to defend. So movement, these move up for the counter-attack, expected counter-attack there. And that is it. Then we go to reinforcements, and they get another woods card, which isn't going to help them at all. Okay, so over to the Yankees, and saving on a 1 or 2. Great, made it. Fires. So these fellows, we'll do these fires first. So standing off and firing. So we've got 5 dice, hitting on 5 or 6. That's 2 hits. And we'll put 1 on the strongest in the hope that he saves it, and 1 on the weakest. No. I'll put it on the artillery. That one's not so great. Okay. And then these ones are going to melee. So the way melee works is that we can do 2 rounds of immediate, both sides get simultaneous fire, and morale saves out of turn. So we'll just do these fellows first, and now they're on F3 instead of F2, so they're hitting on a 4, 5 or 6, and that artillery is hitting on... Can artillery melee, actually? That's a good point. Probably... I don't think there's anything to stop them. Artillery melee at F1, so that's... But he's only on F2 anyway, so never mind. So we'll roll for the artillery. No hits, and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 dice, hitting on 4, 5 or 6. So that's 2 hits. So that knocks out the general quite handily. And but the Confederate will reply simultaneously. So he's +1 CV, so he 3 dice on 4, 5 or 6. 2 hits back. So we'll put 1 there and 1 there. And so he's saved. Oh no, I haven't rolled for him. So we'll roll for the Confederate. So he's only going to save on a 1, 2 or 3, +1 CV for the hill. So he's gone. So the Union will have taken that position, but they might lose some fellows. So +1 for that Burnside. So saving on a 1 or 2. Oh, I got a cat attacking situation. So cavalry saves, and this fellow saving on a 1 or 2 too. No, he's gone. Okay, so the Union have taken the first position. They now gain the benefit of that terrain, and they're also able to do what's called enfilade fire here. And because that position is vacant, they will win in their next fire phase, unless the Confederates will have to disengage from here or put something from their hand into there. Any movement? No, they're going to stand firm. And reinforcement, a general. So we've got a couple of generals we can bring in case we lose one. And oh, forgot the artillery. So yes, I'll put one artillery in there, and the other we will save in reserve. Okay, so over to the Confederates. So they have to make some saves. So now they're attacking. They don't have that. General's not the best on attacking. Oh, I forgot to flip the generals around. Never mind. So he's going to save on a 5 or less. Yep. And the artillery saves on a 2 or less. No. So the artillery's gone. In fact, I wouldn't have been able to, because I didn't have a general in my hand. I would have had to pull one from here. That would be one move and second move there, so he wouldn't have got up in time. So I did need to leave that general there. So now fires. I think yes. It's not looking good for. They can't fire. They're going to have to disengage to come back here because that is the Confederate hand. They've got no troops they can bring into there. No cavalry here, otherwise they could move twice. So those ones are going to have to hold there. And these ones, no fire. So we go to movement. They are disengaging back to here. And enfilade fire. So I'm wondering if a defender can enfilade fire. I'm thinking. No, when an enemy position is occupied. Yes, so as I understand it, once these firing, so enfilading, then these can start firing back. Yes, because they may enfilade. It doesn't mean they must automatically, because I guess they would need to have some movement through the terrain to do that. So yeah, that's a shame. Okay, so the Confederates are right back on defense. Maybe no, I can't send those out. So that will be it. The end of the Confederate turn. Their reinforcement is a poor general. So back over to the Union. Nothing to save. No rallies to make. So we have fire. So yes, they will enfilade onto here. Or they could enfilade here, and then these could move up as well, which is perfectly possible. But that's a strong general, and there's more cards here. So they're going to enfilade fire here. So it's at short range, so that artillery can have an effect. Now they don't get that benefit from the terrain they are in, but these fellows will get their terrain benefit. So it's -1 CV. So the cavalry, no. One die on a 5 or 6 from him, no. And then the artillery is short range, so it's 2 dice on 5 or 6. So that's just 1 hit. That will be that fellow. And then these guys are going to move forwards. So no fire from here. These guys are charging in. I'll leave that general behind. General comes out from reserve, 1, 2, and we will send these 2 from reserve down to there, and these become revealed. Okay, and that's it. So reinforcement. Oh, nice. That's General Israel R. Richardson. I guess he performed well in first Bull Run. I haven't heard of him outside this game. So an aggressive general there. So over to the Confederates. The saving roll here. Just about to make the save, and the Unions play John Barleycorn. The enemy general is immediately moved to reserve to sober up. What have you been doing early, naughty man? So he can play normally next turn. So he goes into my hand, the reserve. That card's gone, but that's great because then for the Union, because then he won't add for the save there. So the Woods give -1 to the attacker's CV. So these don't have any bonus CV because of their terrain. So he's going to save on a 1 or a 2. He made it. So that's the rallies. And now fire. So these guys will definitely fire back. So that's 4 dice hitting on a 5 or 6. No hits there. They haven't been enfiladed. That guy's just sitting. Sorry, he was enfiladed, wasn't he? So he could choose. He could have fired on them or on them. I chose them anyway. He can't fire on them because he's not enfilading them. But he has to really stay there. It's really unfortunate. What he's going to do is send this, so no other fires. He's going to send this guy into reserve and send this general out of reserve into there. Okay, that's that, and then their reinforcement. That's weak artillery, but it's something, some troop card. Okay, over to the USA. No rallies to make. Now, these guys are enfilading. They cannot melee from enfilade. But these guys could melee. But then there'd be danger of being hit from them. So I think we're just going to have fire combat here. So, but he's at -1 because they're in the woods. So no, he's going to... Actually, I'm not exactly sure how this would work. If those are meleeing and those are enfilading, I don't think I could do that. I think it would be either or. So they'll enfilade. No. What they're going to do, they're going to melee, and those are going to enfilade here, and those ones are going to move up to attack there. So enfilading over to here because there's no cover. So we have 3 at short range, so hitting on 5 or 6 from the artillery. So that's 1 hit. And then the infantry, 2 on 5 or 6, that's another hit. And the cavalry hitting on 6, no. So that was 2 hits. Okay, and then these fellows are going into melee. So that would discount the terrain card, which is the reason why I'm doing that. So we got 3 dice hitting on 4, 5 or 6. That's 1 hit. And these guys, 4 dice hitting on 4, 5 or 6. So that was a risky move. 3 hits. So the general's gone. I guess that was a bit foolish, but they can kind of afford, I think, to take risks at the moment. Okay, so 3 hits and 1. No, on the general. Okay, we make morale rolls immediately, so saves on a 1, no. Saves on a 1 or 2, no. So they are gone. But these guys, or this guy could be gone. Saves on a 1 to 3, and he is. Okay. If the Union had made their saves, they could have opted for another round of melee or have disengaged out. And indeed, then if the defender could opt to disengage, but he's not going to because that would lose the game. So movements, they move up into the attack, leaving that general behind. 1, 2, that general comes in. This general goes to reserve. You can only ever have one general in position, so you can't, of your side, so you can't, have generals hanging back. Okay, so that's the end of the Union turn, and they get some nice artillery into their reserve. Now the Confederates have got some rallies to make here, but he's rallying on a 1 to 5, and he rallies on a 1 to 4. So they rally both of those hits, with Edmund Kirby Smith helping them magnificently on defence there. So they are holding on. The Confederates have a slim chance if they can. But they would have to. I want them to move forward and take this, but really they're on the back foot, aren't they? Okay. So what we're going to do is going to send these in from reserve. Okay, and this guy, Desperate Measures, is I don't know, so I was thinking to fire first. Yeah, so before movement we have fire, so yeah, okay, just standard fire, so that's 5 dice and 3 hits. Okay, so the luck could possibly change, and movement reinforces with that, and then we go to reinforcement and another infantry troop card. That's great. Okay, so over to the Union, saving here. So he saves on a 1 to 4, no, 1 to 3, no, yeah, 1 to 4 because of him, so that's gone. He saves on a 1 to 5, and he saves on a 1 to 4. Okay, so that's knocked out the artillery there. Fire, so enfilading and firing here. So we have 5 dice from here, hitting on 5 or 6. That's 1 hit, and the cavalry. No, so that's 1 hit, and then these fellows, that's another 5 dice hitting on 5 or 6. That's 3 hits. So goodbye, General. It wasn't going to last forever. Okay, and then we're going to reinforce here with artillery. Okay, and that's it. And reinforce with another useless terrain card. Useless now, would have been sweet at the beginning, but there you go. Okay, so the Confederate turn, saving throws. This fellow saves on a 1 or a 2, no. On a 1 to 3, yes. On a 1 to 4, yes. So they're hanging in there by the skin of their teeth. Now, I'm thinking we're going to make a really risky gesture. No, let's not risk it at this point. Okay, so they're going to fire back over to here. So that's 7 dice, hitting on 5 or 6, that's nice. And that's 2 hits. Unfortunately not taking out the general yet. And then this is going to fire over to there. So it hits a 6, no. And then moves, going to reinforce there. It's risky. No, I'm going to save that general back. Okay. And reinforcement. Aha, fantastic. We've got a spare general. So saves here. Yes. And no. So they're being whittled down. Okay, it's time to make decisive action. So we're going to do, for fires, we're going to play double canister card. So what that means is that it doubles the CV. So we're rolling 6 dice and firing at short range, so hitting on 5 or 6. So they are enfilading there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. And we got 3 hits out of that. That was well worthwhile. And then these fellows, or this fellow, 3 dice hitting on 5 or 6. That's 1 more hit. And then movement. They're closing in for the kill. So these move up all the way. I'll leave that general. This general comes out of reserve to assist in the attack. And reinforcement is, oh sweet, strong card there. Okay, so the Confederates are engaged on both flanks and the centre has fallen. It is looking desperate for them. So it's all going to hinge on this. If they lose, if all these guys are gone, so the first fellow goes, second fellow saves on 1 to 4, goes, this is it. 50% chance of hanging in there. No, that's it, they have gone. And the immediate instant that 2 positions are taken, the game has been won. And there we go. That is the end of it. The Confederates started off badly and never really managed to gain the initiative. If they'd got, say, this general out earlier, so if he had been here and hadn't died, well, you know, there's so many ifs. I was waiting to play this card. You can play a melee. The USA cards are -1 morale. So I was hoping maybe to get some strong cards there, get us in melee and wipe out the fellow there and then move up and threaten their middle. So either he would have to disengage or they'd have to bring out any reserves which they may or may not have had in their hand. It wasn't to be because we kept losing fellows here, so I never felt quite strong enough to be confident of winning in the melee even with the rebel yell. But that's just to illustrate to you how it can go, and I hope you enjoyed that ferocious fight, and well done Burnside, Richardson and McDowell. First Bull Run, a win for the Union.